Hi everyone. So I am going to do a quick overview presentation of chapter 4, and these are not things that are directly from the book, but this presentation are things that I have found over the semester the students are confused about when it comes to ambiguous words and phrases. So this is kind of my tips about finding what ambiguous words are and what they are not to clarify any misunderstanding that you might have. Okay? All right. So let's first look at what are ambiguous words or phrases. Okay? Ambiguous words or phrases are typically words that are abstract. And what do I mean when I say abstract? So let me give you an example. In our textbook, the book talks about equality versus having the term equality. Okay, the word equality is abstract because then we can simply ask and say, well, what is equality? For you, equality, you might define equality one way, versus for me, I might look and define equality a different way. So the term equality is ambiguous because it's too abstract. However, if I use the phrase having equal access, now the term equality is no longer ambiguous. It is clear, and the author has made it clear on what equality means, which in this case, it's having equal access. So when you have the word equality versus the phrase having equal access, equality is ambiguous because it's too abstract. Ambiguous words and phrases are also words with multiple meanings, and catch this, and the author has not been clear on the exact meaning of the word. Okay, so it has to be both. So for example, if it says, do you believe in clubs for young people? Okay, which word here is ambiguous? Well, the word clubs is ambiguous. First of all, club has multiple meanings. Okay, it can be a club such as a bat. It can be a club like an organization or informal group of people that are hanging out and they have a purpose. Okay, a club can also be like a location or place where people drink and dance. So in this sentence here, if this sentence was to stand alone, okay, and it just says, do you believe in clubs for young people? Well, the word clubs is ambiguous because one, it has multiple meanings, more than one meaning, and the author doesn't really clarify to us what club or what kind of club is the author referring to. Okay, so that would make the word ambiguous. Ambiguous words and phrases are also words that are too general and it's not specific. Okay, so for example, if I say we waited for a long time, the word long time or the phrase long time, it's really general. What is long time to you is long time. It may not be a long time to me. So when we say we waited for a long time, the word long time is ambiguous. However, if I said we waited for 15 minutes, now I'm being specific, okay? Now I'm being specific and it's not ambiguous. Ambiguous words and phrases are also words that can cause confusion or are not defined clearly and need clarification. So for example, while I've certainly never tasted chicken cooked that way before, the phrase cooked that way, it is ambiguous because it can cause confusion. It's not defined clearly. What does cooked that way mean? Is that a compliment or is that an insult? Was that good or is that bad? So it's confusing. So it could mean either way. And so this phrase here, cooked that way, would be considered ambiguous. Okay, so these are just some common things that I've seen over the semesters and years as I teach this course, that students are still not very clear about what ambiguous words or phrases are. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to show you and talk to you about what they are not. Okay, so ambiguous words and phrases are not words with multiple meanings, and the author has made it clear on what the author means. So notice the difference between the first slide about multiple meanings and the second slide. The first slide says ambiguous words have multiple meaning and the author has not made it clear on what the author means. However, if an author uses a word and it has multiple meanings, but the author has made the meaning clear, then it's no longer ambiguous. Okay, so just because a word has multiple meanings does not make it ambiguous. It is only ambiguous if the author is not clear on which meaning the author is using. So another thing that ambiguous words are not, it's not words you don't know the meaning of. So sometimes when I have students identify ambiguous words, I have students who are choosing words or vocabulary words that they don't know the meaning of, and then they say, oh, it's ambiguous because I don't know what this word means. Okay, that's not what makes it ambiguous. Just because you don't know the meaning of the word doesn't mean it's ambiguous. Okay, so let's look at this example here. I selected this quote from an article, and it says, according to Starkweather and Haynes, anthropologists have documented social systems for polyandrous unions among foragers in a wide variety of environments ranging from the Arctic to the tropics and to the desert, recognizing that at least half of these groups are hunter-gatherer societies. Now, the word forager, okay, let's pretend you don't know what it means, okay? Just because you don't know what the word forager means, it does not make that ambiguous. Why is that? Because if you look at the last sentence, recognizing that at least half of these groups are hunter-gatherer societies, the author actually defines what forager means. Okay, so in this case here, the author provides the definition, and even if the author doesn't provide the definition, it doesn't make it ambiguous unless the author is not clear on what that word means. Okay, so keep in mind, just because you don't know a meaning of a word does not make it ambiguous. Okay, all right. Or ambiguous words and phrases are not phrases or quotes you disagree with. Okay, I've had students who said this is ambiguous because I don't agree with what the author said. Ambiguous words has nothing to do with whether you agree with it or not. So for example, again, I selected this from another article. Young girls are constantly being convinced and influenced that bigger is better, and to believe that men would desire them if they are as big as balloons. Now, many of us are going to say, what? I don't disagree. I don't agree with that. That's not going to make it ambiguous. Okay, so be careful with that. So these are the 3 common mistakes that I see students do when they are selecting ambiguous words. Some students pick, oh, this word is ambiguous because it's multiple meanings. I'm going to look to see if the author was clear on what the meaning, what the author meant. If the author was clear already, then it's not ambiguous. If the author isn't clear, then it is ambiguous. Okay? Students also select words that they don't know, so they think that means that the word is ambiguous. It just means that you don't know the definition of the word, but it doesn't make it ambiguous. And then finally, phrases or quotes that you disagree with. So here's the bottom line. Okay? A word or phrase is only ambiguous when the author is not clear on the meaning. Okay, so if you can keep that in mind, that's going to help you select which words or phrases are ambiguous and which ones are not.